Hey, hello, what's going on, you guys? We are here for episode number 7 of Marvel Yap. We're going to be going over all sorts of changes we want in the OTA, giving a little sneak peek of a couple variants for the new season, as well as a breakdown of some of the top meta decks at the moment. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, we are joined with the hostest with the mostest, notmydance. How are we doing, Dance?
Good. I just realized when you say that I'm the hostess with the mostest, that implies that you're not the hostess with the mostest. Is that what we're doing here? Are you saying what's the mostest I have over you? What does that mean? I feel like you have mostest over me.
No, definitely you're the hostest with the mostest. I am the personist that is hereist. All right, I'm just that person that's here.
It's been a long day. It's been a long day for you, so it's okay. You know, it's fine. You didn't. That's okay. That's fine. But oh god, that's how you're starting it. Okay.
Yes. Why not? I mean, we're just vibing. We're yapping and stuff. We got some crazy cool stuff to talk about, and we have Hella on the screen. Do we have any opinions on this card right now?
So I talked about this on stream earlier. I don't like Hella because I think Hella it gives you a good reward for very little play. You can play 2 cards the whole game and still win with very little issue. And that's not super interesting in my personal opinion. I don't enjoy that. And so I'm hoping she's going to get hit in the OTA today, because even as soon as like the patch had dropped last week, or it was just immediate. There was just so much of it, and so I'm gonna actually, the OTA isn't today, isn't it?
It's on Thursday.
Yeah, it's on Thursday. My bad. So on the OTA on Thursday, I'm hoping for it, because again, the patch, even immediately, like the day following, just Hella started getting everywhere, and I think it's calmed down since then. And I honestly think it's at a decent win rate. However, I don't enjoy just how much it wins based off of how little it can do, or how little it needs to do to win.
So then I think I think Hella is definitely one of the most popular lists right now. I don't really have an issue too much with Hella. It is playing like, you're going to the casino, you're seeing where the cards are going to land, and you can kind of account for it. It is annoying to lose to, because you're losing to RNG. It's not really getting kind of outplayed. I think the card limiting point I see as well. I mean, it's kind of like playing against Tribunal. You're like, oh, I just lost to Tribunal because they played 4 cards. They played Magic, they played Iron Man, they played Onslaught, and then they played Tribunal, and I just lost. But I think this has really spiked up even more Clog in the meta too, which I think also makes it very tough and just kind of annoying to play against, because Hella drops a lot of power. You can't Shang-Chi every lane, and then Clog blocks every single space, so you can't play your cards onto the board. So if you're not playing one of the two, it kind of just feels bad, which is why you've seen even more Destroy on the rise, because of all the Clog, and they can go as vertical as Hella. But I feel like the meta is kind of just dominated by just a couple different decks right now, opposed to completely spread open again.
Actually, I think I might disagree here. I think Hella is the #1 deck right now, not actually in terms of win rate, but at least according to Untap public stats, right? But it has a 13% popularity track just on Untapped. And then the next most popular list that you're going to talk about is Erishim there at going to 6.1. So Erishim, I think, had that 13% as well. And then you got a lot more of the Clog and the other things that are going to try to mess with their board more so in order to stop Hella. I don't like Hella as it currently stands, as it feels like it gets so much with so little effort. But I think I might disagree on the front that I don't think Hella's the problem. I mean, I think it's Hellcow, obviously. Hellcow being the new card that we had just seen get the change with Activate, right? I think that Hella itself is fine. It's just the fact that Hellcow means that she is always safe to play. And you have the new Black Cat in there as well to give Hella even more boost. So like I said, you play 2 cards, Black Cat gets rid of herself, you activate Hellcow and play Hella on the final turn, you can win. And also, there's it's not a counterplay. It's the same problem that we had before when Hella was dominant in the meta. You don't have a counterplay against it unless you're clogging, unless you're messing with their side of the board, which is why I think Clog and these Affliction style archetypes are so popular. The Affliction doesn't work as well against Hella, right? Because They're now running Luke Cage in the deck, right? I think the number 1 Hela deck is using a lot more of that. But it's so wild. I dislike Hela, the meta with all of the Hela, but at the same time, I really don't want to say that Hela is busted itself. I think Hela itself is going to be in a fine spot once they tweak Hellcow, which I'm hoping they will this week. But I think in general, like, the meta is very open. I feel like you can play a lot of different styles of lists and be able to do a lot of really cool things. Like, I feel like can still be difficult because of playing the same type of list over and over again. Like 13% of playing the same deck over and over sucks, right? Because that could just it feels very often, especially when we have a negativity bias just naturally as humans. We remember more and more of the Hela, and it feels like that 13% is a 50 or something like that, and it sucks. So I still don't like the deck, don't like Hela being everywhere, but I hope that they don't. It's weird to say this. I hope they don't hurt her. I don't think she's a problem.
Well, I didn't say Hela was OP. That wasn't one of my points. My points was I feel like I keep seeing the same list over again. No,
that's fair. I think I've seen that online echoed by others, and I dislike that logic. I think there's enough people who think Hela's a problem, but I also think I think people are very obvious to the fact that Hellcow caused this, which feels good. We didn't also talk about what we were going to talk about today. We just kind of just jumped into Hela because Hela's so prominent. What are we talking about today, Tuck?
Well, we're talking about the OTA predictions, which ties into Hela, and Hela is a main talking point that, like Dance is saying, like a lot of people are talking about Hela. We're also going to be talking about the top archetypes, so like the top 10 decks currently in the meta based off of the last 6 days since patch, because last 7 days was only an extra day, so we're doing it based off patch data. And then we're also going to be taking a little peek-see at Scarlet Spider, as well as the upcoming variants next season during the symbiote season with Agent Venom.
Yeah, in general, I'm stoked about that symbiote season, but I'm pretty sure we'll do a full breakdown of everything we love about that season next week. But yeah, I'm hopeful for the OTA. I feel like there's going to be a lot of options here, and I want to see some cool new stuff, and even just some minor changes. I feel like I would like to see, but I don't know if we're going to see as much as I might want.
Yeah, I think there's going to be, I feel like the changes you make this week, I feel like you need more buffs than nerfs right now. You might need a few tweaks, but I feel like just a little support for some other archetypes to kind of help flood the meta with a little bit more diversity is kind of what I'm looking for like just consistency and everything, which I guess opening the floor up, Dance, who is the first card that you have for your OTA?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things we also learned, right, is that they can't apparently they can't change cards to be activate via OTAs. We did learn that kind of. I think by the fact that they did make Black Swan and Hellcow and activate only via the patch. So I'm assuming that that's going to be a situation. But I think if I'm going to talk about a buff here, right, I don't think, even though the card is now activate, I think Black Swan should go to a 1/2.
A 1/2 Black Swan?
I'm going to argue it, and I think I may be crazy for this, but I kind of still stand by this. The new version of Black Swan, even though it is now an activatable ability for a 2-cost, 3-power card, activate until the end of your next turn, your 1-cost cards cost 0. Right now, it has a win rate of 47.5% right now, which is very low. If according to Untapped, it's like C tier, and then it has an average cube rate of -0.10 or 0.1, whatever. So it's very low. It's just not a good card. Still, I think it's trying to work in lists, but I think it's still very awkward. And I think you bring it down to a 1-cost at this point. I don't think, remember when she was originally data mined, she was data mined to be a 2/3. And I think even when she came out or something like that, I don't remember. But then I think that she was literally changed right before her season or something like that into that 3/5.
The dev video
wasn't good.
Literally.
Yeah, the dev video had her at a 2/3 in some spots, and people were confused. They brought her back down to that, and I still don't think she works there. I don't think you're getting enough value at that 2/3, especially inside of lists that want to use more 1-drops. I don't think you're getting good value with her.
Yeah, playing her out in curve instead of playing cards that are going to just bounce back into your hand. I can see it. I think 1/2 is interesting. I think she probably could have just been
as well.
I think she could have been better at just an on reveal 2/3 instead of just the activate. I think there's certain instances now where I'm running Black Swan and I'm like, I wish she was just on reveal right now because I have her later in the game. I draw her later. I have no way to really get this to work. I'm just throwing a card on the board.
Which that's a whole different conversation, and I kind of want to. I think just minor spoiler for next week. I really want to talk about Activate next week because we've had a while with it, and Activate is. I don't know if Activate's a good ability. I'm just gonna say that I don't want to talk more about it. That's a whole different conversation. But I don't know if they're gonna stay with her being an Activate. I want her at a 1 cost. I'm fine if it's a 1/1, 1/2. I just think at a 1 cost at least, it's easier to play on curve. It's shown. Aranya has shown that to us, and you can still get some good ramping in there. And even if you have to bounce the card, it's still an easy card to put back out onto the board.
Or she's in the wrong list, and you're not supposed to be playing her and like bounce and stuff. You're supposed to play like Dracula Dump instead. But I haven't done too much testing with her to have a definitive opinion on the card. But interesting take, I would say.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I haven't seen anything that I've enjoyed with her, or even anything that feels good. I don't know. But what do you got here, Tuck? We said we want more buffs than nerfs this week. We want to give some love to cards. Who do you want to see some love to?
I want Hulkling to go to a 5/10.
Interesting. Okay. So same ability, right?
Same ability, but 5 cost.
Interesting. Okay. What is it, just because like it's just a rough card and just is not working, or?
It just feels at 6 drop like, yes, you do get some great 6 drops. Sometimes you just get horrible 6 drops. This card just is a massive feels bad kind of card, especially at the Series 5 level. Like, I think it needs at least some sort of tweak. It's been almost a month since the card came out, so they can totally, tune it now with all the testing and stuff they've done. So it needs some changes because this is one of the worst, Series 5 cards.
Yeah. What is it? I will say I felt bad about Black Swan, being at that -1 cube rate and that low win rate. Emperor Hulkling almost is a negative cube rate when you play with him. He has a -0.95 currently on Untapped. You put him in your deck and you're losing a cube is what you're saying currently, and that's insane. And the win rate's 43.9%. So I agree. I think I said something different last week in terms of what the ability. I don't care at this point. I also don't think the ability is good anymore. Still.
Yeah. The ability is not great. Like, the card that kind of does the same thing as like Valentina, but like Valentina, you at least, can either get some value or it's just something in your hand that kind of throws people off, opposed to having to draw this card and see everything.
Yeah. No, I definitely think something needs to change with Emperor Hulkling. I don't know what, but I am down to see I'm down to see a change to Emperor Hulkling. I think when we last talked about him, I said something akin to his ability triggering when he gets added to your hand.
Yes.
And especially, like, I've drawn him with so many locations, and he's just been a raw 6 cost card. I don't know. I'm down. Any change. Second hitter, please. Please give this Hulkling some love. There's so much cool art for this card.
Yes.
Why does he have to suck so much? Wiccan, his husband or boyfriend, I don't remember which. Wiccan's so dang good. And Hulk, bro, like, I ain't gonna say from How I Met Your Mother, right? In every single couple, one's the better option, one's the reacher, one's the one who was reached for. I'm just saying, Wiccan's alpha. I'm just saying. Should I say that? I don't know if I should.
That's a good reference. That was a good reference, so I like it. No, because Wiccan actually does have immense value and stuff, where Hulkling just feels bad, like, for real card right now.
It's not a good card at all.
But who do you have as your next card?
I feel like you're gonna maybe talk about this card, but I've already mentioned it at the beginning, so I'll say it now. Hellcow.
Okay.
Hellcow, I want to see go to a 3 cost card. Right? You're like, what? 3 cost, 4 power? I want to activate, discard 1 card from your hand. Doesn't need to do 2. There's no reason for it to do 2. Give it a 3 cost, 4 power, activate, discard 1 card from your hand. And that's all you need. And it's still a fine card. It works in Hella. It doesn't set up the entire deck. It works still in discard, just doesn't set up the entire deck. It's just a delayed discard. And it's slightly below rate in stats. I can see it being a 3/5, honestly, but it's just there. And that's what I want to see.
Can they change that sort of functionality of activate in an OTA, though, is my question.
they've said they could change text, and I think they could just. It still has the same activatable bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just only 1 instead of 2. And I feel like they can. Maybe they can't.
Okay.
But I'm hoping they can, and I'm guessing that they can with this one. But I feel like that doesn't remove. I think Hellcow being an activate is super interesting, and I love it. But I think with it doing 2 right now, that's the biggest thing, honestly. It completely enables what is it? Like Discard loves it right now, right? But it completely enables Hella in a problematic way. So that if you made it just single one, I feel like Hella still has to work for that stuff. Like you can't just pull you can't just pull Black Cat and then one other card and potentially win. No, you'd actually have to still discard other options here and still set up other stuff in order for that list to work. So that's what I want to see.
What about a 5/7 with the current discard abilities? Make him a 5 cost instead of a 4 cost.
Isn't it just the same thing?
I mean, it's similar. You just can't get any like blink value and stuff too. But I think, I don't know, the 3 cost with you discard 1 card, I feel like is just not great. I feel like, yes, it does limit what, Hella can do because you're not discarding as many cards. But you just don't play Hellcow at all if it's just the single one and you just play other stuff instead.
I still feel like I disagree there, right? Because of the, like, if you have like all the stuff in your hand, especially even the Hella list or in discard lists, the final turn, you still can just have that thing where you're like, okay, I know you're not going to discard anything I really needed you to discard up until now. You still have a safe discard, and that's what the value of Hellcow I think is.
But that kills Hella.
Like
Hella's archetype just dies if you just give away the extra discard, because Corvus added the extra value to Hella, which made Hella go over the top. And then having 2 discards now too in this situation enabled you to get more Hella value. If not, in a perfect game, you're discarding Sif. With Sif, you're hitting your Death, your Blade, you're hitting in 1 card, and then hopefully Black Cat discards herself for 3 cards to come down with Hella.
Yeah, and then you still have the Hellcow to hit the last card on the final turn.
Yeah,
so that would be 4.
Yeah, I don't like it. I think it just kills that. And then overall, if we're even not talking about like Hella discard with regular discard too, it's another like lesser enabler for regular discard that I'm not a fan of. I think the 2 discard cards, like if we're also looking at it holistically with the stats like we're talking about, like with Hella, with Hellcow and stuff too, like it's not getting played maybe as much at like top infinite, which is what I'm seeing a lot of people playing and stuff. They're playing more of just Clog overall. Clog is feeling better than just Hella.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll see.
Yeah. I will say, by the way, so in terms of the stats on Hellcow currently, it is a 15% of the meta right now, which that's a pretty high percentage. It's got a 51.8% win rate and a positive cube rate of 0.16. So it's not crazy. Like that's why I really don't want to like completely kill the card. I liked the idea of the sub thing. Maybe that's not the best idea, and I'm fine with that. I think Second Dinner will figure something out. They're smart. They've done great things before, and they will again. Right? We talked about that all last week. Yeah. It's just a matter of, I think Hellcow's the problem. I like this as a solution. It could easily not be. I don't care what the solution is, but I do think Hellcow needs some love. I'm hoping Hellcow gets hit this week. Bessie needs to calm down. Okay?
Just take some power off of her, I think. I think that might be it. Reduce her power.
It could be, honestly.
Yeah.
I might be fine with that. I don't know. Whatever it is, I'm assuming it's literally just a thing where it's kind of just like I roll the dice and I just like, all right, this is all up to Lady Luck now. It's honestly just like I think Second Dinner knows. It's all up to them now. Whatever they do it's that. But yeah, Hellcow, I want her to get hurt, or not hurt. Just I want her to come back down. I don't want her to enable an entire archetype. Hella was able to work before. But what do you got? What do you got? What's your number 2?
So I think we've talked about this before, but I think Silk needs some love. I think Silk goes to like a 2/6.
Interesting.
Because of like I'm also thinking with these OTA changes, like Silk or Spider-Man get some love because Scream comes out next week, which is going to really hinder a lot of this move stuff. So I'm thinking those cards that really can't, buff themselves like you can with a Dagger Vulture / Human Torch. The ones that have a set power need just a little tiny boost going into next season. And we're ending the Spider-Man season. So like, why not give them a little bit extra love, ending off the Spider-Man season with just a couple boosts of power, even if it's just 1 or 2.
What if Silk went to honestly, this is wild, but like a 2/2 that got +1 every single time she moved.
That'd be interesting. And then it'll give you more reason to play some like silky smooth stuff. That'd be cool.
Because also, I don't think Spider-Man should get love because Spider-Man's going to be really good with Scream, right? So I feel like if Silk works, I think you want her to like ramp up and get some value that way. And I think that'd be a cool, and like honestly, something similar to like a Werewolf by Night enabler there, where it's just Silk just going off of whenever a card is played there. Maybe that's broken, but I actually love the idea of that. Maybe that is a new card on its own.
At 2-0 though, I would say if you're getting +1 every time because it counts your opponent's moves as well.
Yeah, I can see 2-0 being fine. Yeah, because then that still synergizes with Kraven. You've got great value with what is it? You've got great value with Angela as well. You could do some fun stuff with like Hope. There's a lot of really cool things there. If I'm fine with Silk getting a change, I think 2-6 just becomes slightly. I don't know, it feels like it becomes slightly too good. There, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, right? There's a good chance I'm wrong, right? Because she currently has a negative 0.34% cube rate, right? Or negative 0.34 cube rate, and a win rate of only 44.7% chance of taking it. So it's like it's definitely not great. I definitely think she needs love. I like the idea of it scaling up though, and it feels like a really cool it feels like a cool enabler. Like the Silky Smooth deck has struggled for a bit. That feels like a cool way to like ramp that list out.
Yeah, no, that's a good shout. I think some way to just change this card a little bit because like you just play Hydra Bob instead. Like if you have Hydra Bob, you just don't play Silk.
I ain't gonna lie, there was a world where I was gonna say Hydra Bob should go back to a 1/4. I didn't, but I was considering talking about that. Hydra Bob's good.
1/4.
He was. I hit Infinite using Hydra Bob the season he came out because he's a good card. Because as soon as your opponent snap, he's just a 1/4 and that's it.
Yep.
He's no downside. And otherwise, you get to control where he moves, right? So I just feel like he's a great card. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. He doesn't have the win rate and stats to back it up, so I'm not going to say that as a full opinion. However, he's a great card. Why in the world did he get buffed? I'm fine with it. I love it.
It was just the Martyr thing. They said Martyr went from a 1/4 to 1/5. We have to make Hydra Bob from a 1/5 now. Like
apparently, I don't know. But if we're gonna talk about Silky Smooth, I will say one of the cards that's fallen out of that list and maybe fallen out of all lists right now currently is Elsa Bloodstone.
Really, Elsa?
I think Elsa is not a good card anymore. I expected like. If Aranya and Madam Web couldn't make Elsa a good card, I don't think Elsa's going to be a good card. I think she needs to take a hit, either going to like a 3-1 or a 3-2, and giving the cards +3. They undid it before. That's what she originally was, right? I think she was like a 2 though that did that or something like that. God, I love how anti each other's. We've been on some like wild takes, and I'm sorry, but. I want her to get +3. She's not good right now.
What are the stats for Elsa right now?
Yeah, so she is at just below even win rate of 49.9% and a cube rate of 0.04. I'm wrong in that. Okay, whatever. I still want it.
I just don't think people
she's a
are
great
playing
card.
her. What is her play percentage right now?
Popularity is of 1.2, and if people could play a card more and get it used, like that's. In those very little percentages, we're still not seeing her do well. Bounceless, she doesn't work in. Like if anything, you're gonna maybe want Thena there, or you just have Angela. Like she's not a good ramp card anymore, and she used to be. And like she's needed every single nerf she's had, but I think she needs something back. I don't think she needs to go completely back to what she was, but I want her to get something there.
I think there's just so much clog right now. That like you're trying to set yourself up for like certain situations to be able to do Elsa things if you're running Elsa, or you're just like this extra 2 powers okay, but it's just not enough. But like +3, she was literally broken when she was +3 power.
But it was a 2-cost card at that time as well.
It was a 2-cost, but like we see these cards whenever they do get +3, like +2 power they had to take away from Angela because that was also crazy. I just think she's just not super relevant in this current meta right now, just because of the way people are playing. I don't think this card needs necessarily a +3 change. Maybe she goes to a 3-4 instead. Maybe she gets a power bump that way, opposed to her ability getting a bump.
Maybe it's that. I don't know. I do want her to get some love. I think +3 can work, right? Thena is that, but
Athena has really more like more vigorous things you got to do. I feel like for Athena than
You do-
like Elsa.
But I think Elsa's still difficult, but I'll accept the disagreement. I'll accept it because I feel like I'm on something crazy. I think with today's takes, and I'm happy about it.
Okay, for my next one over here, we're gonna be a little bit more grounded. I think. I think that one of your favorite people's leader can go to a 6-5.
Whoa, 6-5.
6-5 leader.
All right, sell me on this. I don't know if I'm against or for it.
So like leader right now at 6-3. I don't know the percentage for leader right now, but like there's so much just not usage. I feel like of leader just not used. You were seeing leader a lot more when Sandman was the ongoing limiting one card restriction thing, and you don't have that anymore. And I think leader, it's not necessarily like this is totally a leader meta that'd be really solid for leader, because like more often than not, I'm not seeing a lot of people dropping 6-drops. If I see a 6-drop, it's like an Alioth. But I'm seeing more cards being slammed, more like 5-drops, more cannonball. If you get Hela, like your opponent's playing Hela, you play leader, you get no value, of course. But like I feel like this card is in a spot right now where he can go back to his original 6-5. Not the original ability or anything, just him overall getting more power. And like I feel like this is more of an earlier pool card right now opposed to like post infinite, like later series 4, series 5 card. So I think just overall gameplay wise, 6-5 would allow you to have more diversity when it comes to these 6-drops. And I feel like the game is okay for leader to come back to some extra power.
That's interesting. So he's a negative 0.2%, 0.26 cube rate and a win rate of 45.2%. And I know popularity when I think it's notable. A Series 3 card is at a 0.4%.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually a fair point that he could probably get some love there.
Yeah.
I kind of questioned it at first, but I'm looking at it now. I'm like, you know what? Maybe you're right.
Because the issue was like when it was high Evo everywhere, it was like I'm copying a Hulk. I get a Hulk down. But now it's like high Evo's there, but like high Evo, the main high Evo list you're seeing right now is the Affliction high Evo with Ajax, and your top end is A-Bomb, like Abomination, not A-Bomb, opposed to like Hulk. So like you're not getting the same thing. Yes, you can drop She-Hulks and stuff too, and people are still doing that, but like that's what it is. People are playing She-Hulk. People are not really playing evolved Hulk right now.
Yeah. Is there ever a world where he maybe has less stats, but he could also just copy all cards your opponent's played at his location?
That'd be interesting. Kind of similar to like all cards played to the right kind of thing.
Yeah, remember it used to be that. Yeah.
It'd be interesting. I'm not opposed, especially if you're seeing more slam, which I think like if this OTA is the next change we're going to have in the game up until the second week of the season when we get the patch. So like that's going to be interesting. Or second week of the season second week of the season we get an OTA, third week we'll get a patch, fourth week we'll get another OTA. So like this is like the biggest changes right now going into next season. So like if they do that change like you're talking about too, I think there's gonna be more slam and more bounce stuff with Agent Venom and people are using him that way, and you might actually get more leader value. So I wouldn't be opposed if it copied all cards at that location. I'd be here for that even if he doesn't get the power jump himself.
Yeah, I feel like I like that as well because it just goes into the logic of, like you said, the meta is you don't play one card to win, right? You're playing a bunch of cards to cycle into a win. And maybe that doesn't work because of Clog or whatever. Maybe that's why it was like a location to the right. But I think that's I like the idea in general. I think that's just a very interesting idea, and I think that's cool to see.
Yeah.
I like some leader love in general.
And then you got another card?
I do have one more card here. It's a card that I think we've heard this idea before, and I will say it again now. I want Sabretooth to go upwards, right? Okay. So when Aranya came out, I think I showed it to you. I played her so much with Sabretooth because I was like, I really want to use Sabretooth. You can get that +2 on Sabretooth, get him into a 0/7. You can keep cycling. And I was excited by it, and I wanted to keep using stuff with it. God, it just doesn't work.
No.
You get some like whenever you're destroying X-23 and Wolverine. I've seen this post, people saying this online. Whenever you destroy X-23 Wolverine, you get an additional bonus every single time. Wolverine gets +2. What is it? And X-23 gives you 1 energy every time, not just when it occurs for the first time and just cycle. No, I personally think Sabretooth, I think you bring him down to, again, put him at that competitive 2 cost. Put him at a 2/3. when it's destroyed, it gets +1 power and cost 0, returning to your hand still. You give it a +1 power still. You still have to replay it every single time, but it's a way that you can cycle with Wolverine. Like, it's very similar to Wolverine, but you get to control exactly where it goes the next turn. I know they want it to be a 3 cost. I don't think it works.
What if you make him a 1/1 +2 power every time he gets destroyed? Because it's an early pool card, it kind of allows you to kind of get into the Deadpool sense of things a little bit. He can still get Killmonger or technically Elektra, but I think he's the lesser of the two when it comes to Wolverine. So I think him having a little bit lower stat line in the beginning while also having some regenerative stuff could be cool. I think at the 2 cost, costing 0, like that also is fair. Like playing that out on curve instead of Wolverine. But I don't know. I feel like giving Killmonger a little bit extra value in Destroy, especially in the earlier pools too, maybe. Because it might take you a while to get Deadpool and stuff because, you know, Killmonger is Series 2. I don't know. I think 1 or 2 cost, I like the idea. The +1 or +2 power, I think is interesting. If he does cost 0 every time, and he is a 2, I might start him off at like a 2/3 +1. Opposed to +2. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not opposed.
I like the idea of him going to a 1/1 as well, though. I think that that could be fine, and then he gets. If it would be a +2, I don't know. I feel like you compete with Deadpool in terms of like
Deadpool
what
doubles
that slot
every time,
is. Though. Yeah, but sometimes you just want to destroy him twice, and he's just like a 4, and then now Sabretooth's better. Maybe that's fine. Maybe it's not. I don't know. It's just. At least it gives you a little bit more of a different place for Sabretooth to exist if he's a 2 cost still. And it also feels more thematic, again, like Sabretooth and Wolverine. Like, they're that, like, put them the same cost.
Yeah.
Make them fight for being like, honestly, if it was a 2/3 with the +1 costing 0 when it returns your hand whenever it's destroyed, right? I don't know which of the two I like more. And I know Wolverine's a really cool card, but it's cool to see Sabretooth be like, is he better in Destroy here? Is it not? Like, that's actually a really interesting place I'd like to see.
Like literally adding him to a location that would give you potentially better power because you can target it more than you can Wolverine would be like very interesting, like you're saying.
Yeah. Maybe it's broken, maybe not. I don't know. That's not. Again, we don't have to deal with that. That's second dinner. They balance things.
They just say things. We're just chilling, right?
Yeah. Sabretooth is shining on your face right now, but is there anyone else that you'd like to shine some light upon?
No, I also had Hellcow on mine, and I had him just getting power nerf opposed to the ability change. But we already went over that. So, I mean, I guess at this point, let's look at what are the top cards based on popularity right now before we jump into the top archetypes.
Yeah, I mean, top cards currently just in general. You gotta, that's right, Shang-Chi's up there. But I feel like this is just a lot of like Hela cards, really. And then you've got some fun stuff with like Aranya and Madam Web in there. But otherwise, it's just, like, I feel like there's just a lot of Hela there. Symbiote Spider-Man still being extremely popular.
Weekend missions.
Oh, that's so fair. Yeah. God, oh my gosh, I'm so over weekend missions with him. I'm at a point where I'm legitimately considering just playing Airshim and just putting him in there so I don't have to think about it. Like, actually, I'm so over Symbiote Spider-Man. I know you've been having a blast with Phoenix Force.
I mean, I don't always run him in my Phoenix Force list, but like I use him differently as like an alternate, not as like a primary by any means. Which I think is what you're supposed to do. Don't have Symbiote Spider-Man as your win con. Like, just have him as a scapegoat.
The amount of people I still play against who just drop a random Symbiote Spider-Man in the right lane, just start buffing it up, and I'm like, all right, I know you're gonna Galactus here. That's fine. I throw over like just an acid arrow with Kate or something like that.
Yep.
And just the immediate. Bro, I played it was final round of Gold Conquest. I played like 6 games against this one person who refused to do anything other than Symbiote Spider-Man Galactus. And that was it. That was literally all they would do.
Oh my goodness.
And so I just, wherever they play Symbiote Spider-Man or whatever lane they're trying to set up, I just throw a singular Clog card there. Just immediate. I was so over it. It was so tough.
No. And like, I think what it was is I think Guest was talking about this earlier. Just at like a 4 or 5 cost activate, unless it's Hellcow, it just feels bad. And like, I feel like you have to set up so much other stuff. The only way to do anything to Hellcow, by the way, is to, Red Guardian Hellcow That's the only way to really mess up that. So I think that's what's different opposed to like Symbiote Spider-Man. You can literally alternate Symbiote Spider-Man, like you said, by throwing a rock, throwing a Widow's Kiss. Like just having something on his side of the board so he can't hit the combo. It just feels way worse than, oh, my Hellcows is sitting here. You can't really do anything about it. You can't stop this card, kind of thing. And I think that's why there's the stark differences between, if you look at like the cube rate is literally, 30 points different. Win rate is also 4 percentages different. And then the play rate's different just because of all the weekend missions.
Yeah, I would only argue it's because weekend missions. I don't think the card's good.
Yeah, no.
But speaking of that 4-cost activate slot, right? Like, can we talk about Scarlet Spider? I know we were going to say at some point, right?
Yeah,
but
let's talk about Scarlet Spider.
Yeah, well, you love Scarlet Spider, right? You're a big fan of this guy. You don't even have it. I would expected you to wear some Scarlet Spider merch today or something like that. But I'm
lacking. I am freaking lacking. It's been a long day. I've just been wearing a 5K turkey trot shirt.
Yeah, we're in the palm trees over here. I've got sweater weather out here in Colorado, Florida, and wild differences. But yeah, you talk to us about this guy. What do you love about him?
So what I like about Scarlet Spider is I feel like you kind of have an opportunity here to do something different. I think with the activate, you think of like Mr. Sinister. That's like what I would say is the more similar comparison is like a Sinister clone. You can buff a Sinister clone and it gives you an exact copy. You buff a Broodling, or I guess Broodling's another thing. You buff a Broodling, gives you the exact power. So like with Scarlet Spider, the difference is it's not on the same location. So you can spread out this power more. It can work in a bunch of different, like maybe you're playing it in Patriot. Maybe you get like super greedy and you do like some Nomura things or you buff them with Gwenpool or whatever. But I feel like this card is going to be fun, but at the same time, there's so much claw going on right now. So it's really trying to also, in a sense, get lucky in your matchups to be able to do what you want to do with Scarlet Spider, or you just do some token things with Mockingbird. But I love this character. I'm so glad it's in the game. The Inhyuk Lee is absolutely amazing. And then, of course, he actually has a variant that comes out that is a rare, so you can just get it on the collection track or 700 gold. It's more affordable. You can get it from a mystery variant. I think it's cool.
I think that one may even be my favorite, honestly. Like, I love the way that one looks. But yeah, no, so Scarlet Spider isn't aware as well. It's a 4/5 that says add an exact clone of this to another location, and the exact clone is like Tucker said, a no ability card akin to Mr. Sinister. So it is. I think Mr. Sinister is one of the best comparisons for this card. I do like that. But yeah, I really wanted to. I think we've talked about this before. I really like the hand pump idea. I think hand pump feels like fun, and in my opinion, the best like potential combo card for Scarlet Spider, I think is gonna be Gwenpool. I think Gwenpool is going to be the best card to work with Scarlet Spider. I think you're gonna get a lot of value there. I think you're gonna continue to be able to ramp out a lot, and you don't have to worry about the clog that is everywhere with like the Mora and such. So that like, if we're gonna talk about one that I really want to see, I really want to see some. Like I'm gonna bring back more Zabu here. I'm gonna go Psylocke, like the Wong, Gwenpool, Scarlet Spider. Like give me everything. Give me all the copium. I'm down.
Give you all the copium. I think Aranya could be cool with this card too.
Yeah, Aranya works unlike Brood.
Yep.
Yeah, because you can just be careful about when you activate it. Oh, you can even do like Shuri stuff here too.
You get big spiders. Just you just get big clones everywhere. But yeah, I'm excited for this card. Gonna have some surprises hopefully with this in the future. But yeah, that's all I can
That's
say
a weird
right
way
now.
to phrase that, but okay.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
who knows, right? But yeah, I'm excited for this. Comes out today at the time of this video uploading with Scar and White Widow, which also, if you don't have White Widow, this is the week to open spotlights for White Widow. Absolutely incredible. And then, of course, with Scar as well. Scar's main list, you're maybe not seeing a lot of right now, but he still gets some like really good value holistically. It's a good card to have in your collection.
Yeah, I think Scar is definitely one that could return to the meta. Honestly, it's a thing that I realized we both forgot about in like the OTA predictions. But I really could see like some sort of Thanos buff, and then Scar comes back with that as well. Especially if they want to like, they typically buff. They've said it before. They buff cards that are going to be available via spotlight catches or like even bundles coming up. So if that's something that they might be doing, I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe try to give a buff to a deck that Scar has been well versed in and works well in. And I'd like to I'd be down to see it. I'd love to see some more Scar shenanigans in general.
And then, of course, moving on to our next topic over here, we're going to be going over, I think we said 10, but we got more than 10 different archetypes on the screen. Of course, we've talked about Hela already. We've talked about Affliction a little bit. And this is also statistics of the last couple days since the patch. So it's been 6 days since the patch. It is post-Infinite and just Pool 3 data right now.
Yeah.
This is not based on popularity. This right now is just based off of, I think it's just tier list right now, or from the latest patch. I can do it off of popularity, I think.
Maybe I don't think you actually
No,
can.
actually, yeah, I cannot do based off popularity. But this is
And
just
this is,
what
again,
it looks like.
This is always good to say, like, right, this is the public tracker, so this is not what Second Dinner has, not what we might be seeing, and it could be changing, because it doesn't keep track of the phone games, and it doesn't even keep track of every single person, right? It's just what the decks are being used by people who are using the tracker. Does it also count the ones that are like used against the tracker? Does it do that as well?
I don't know the specifics of Untapped in that sense. I know it does for the people who use it. I don't know about against it. That's a good question, actually.
Yeah, I have no idea. Wow. But no, do you want to talk about let's talk about I guess we can talk about the group of A, which is a really, I will say, that's a cool group of A right there. Gives you just a lot of options already.
Yeah, what's interesting is the main Affliction deck, which I'll pull up on screen as well too, is actually the High Evo Ajax list we were talking about, which has over 2,000 games with 56% win rate. Is really solid when you think about it. Like,
yeah, that is really fun. It's cool that that's actually, I didn't know that was a number one. That's honestly, with that being number one, I've said before that I don't like Luke Cage and Hela, but if that's like number one, actually, that really tracks, especially with how good US Agent is.
Yes, and I think not enough people are really playing Luke Cage right now. People are just playing him in a couple list, opposed to just like a flex 3-drop that really helps you. But I think at the same time, that's why you have Red Guardian in this list, because if they're playing Luke Cage by themselves, you just tempo Red Guardian and you shut that down, and then you immediately just get massive power.
No, it's good. Honestly, this list is a really good list. I like the way it feels a lot, and there's a lot of good stuff. One of the cool things I enjoy about this particular list, right, is that it doesn't use Luke Cage.
Yep. You're okay that's your own stuff.
You're okay. Yeah, you just don't care. You're like, whatever. I've got Ajax. I'm gonna get bigger than you, and if I'm not, I'm just gonna destroy your big stuff with Shang-Chi. Yep. I don't care. And that's honestly, that's sick in my opinion. I love that. It's maybe bad, but this is a cool list. If it's over prevalent, I don't like it, right? But at the same time, where we currently have it, what the meta is currently like, I like this list. It really is cool. Is this like the number one list? Maybe it needs to get tuned down. Sure. Maybe, honestly, I think Cassie's still really good still. But even if it does need to get tuned down, I like the list.
Yeah, I think this list is really solid. It goes into the Clog matchup pretty well, too, with the Man-Thing, because if your opponent does have rocks on their side of the board, to get Man-Thing value. And it is very interesting to look at the main differences between these two specifically. The first list does not have White Widow. It has Shang-Chi instead, and the second list has White Widow instead of Shang-Chi. And the win rate is slightly higher for the list without Shang-Chi, but the cube rate is lower. So I'm wondering
if people... less games, and that
yes.
could be a different thing there too.
Yes, but also like having less games but a lower cube rate as well is also interesting to note with the differences in win rates too.
Yeah, and that's one of the parts that we're going to see more as we go through these lists. Cube rate, like being able to lose a game and then still be able to have a positive cube rate for a deck. Like there are decks that do a lot of losing but still have a very good cube rate, and that's super cool.
Yes.
And the next one is not one of those lists, as we're talking about Hela now.
Yes, and like what you're talking about, there's 2 iterations of Hela, which is really interesting because the bottom iteration of Hela is Husky's Hela list, which I was always like, yeah, Luke Cage, you don't need an Hela. There's no reason for it. You have all this other stuff going on. But if you look at it now, especially after looking at the High Evo list we just played, with that being one of the top meta lists, and just how much Affliction we're seeing overall, Luke Cage is even more necessary than ever, I will say. So I will bite my tongue. I know I've said this in multiple chats and multiple things, that Luke Cage is more needed than ever in Hela right now. Yeah,
I definitely think that. And also, so wait, what's the Wasp doing in the second list?
So
I remember, I think you've told this to me in the past.
The Wasp is blink value, And then it's just another card that you just don't discard, and like you just play out onto the board instead of the Hellcow value. And if you are playing against a lot of Jean Grey, which Jean Grey is like not super popular still, but there's some people that are playing it at like higher elos, like higher caps of infinite. But you're playing that Wasp into your Jean Grey lane to be able to Hella into another lane, so it's just to make sure you don't get hit with that kind of thing.
It's interesting, yeah. What is it? Yeah, I mean, what is it? I feel like just Hellcow carries both these lists right now. It's currently where it's at. And I'm hoping Hellcow gets a little bit of a hit for that logic. But in general, I mean, I don't, if it other than the Hellcow, I don't mind these lists. I don't really want to say anything here. It's just the fact that, like, at least if it's not Hellcow, if you do the previous version of these lists, which had, like, Corvus Glaive at least, you were discarding and you had to actually try some stuff and you had to hope for the best. And if it didn't work out in the way you wanted, then you just had to hope for the big drops at the end was going to be enough.
Yeah.
So if and whenever we revert to that sort of place, I feel like Hella was healthier then. But at least for now, it's just like, yeah, I'm very familiar with the top deck, especially.
You just see it literally everywhere. I mean, 18,000 games. I mean,
yeah. Like I said, that's a 13% of the meta right now. That's a lot. And then going over to Zoo as the number 3 most played archetype.
Which is really interesting because I think what it is Zoo is very affordable and it's pretty easy to pilot because you're just throwing some cards out on the board. Marvel Boy does his thing. You got ongoing Khazar or Blarvel, and then your top end's Gilgamesh. Your Mockingbird's costing pretty much 0, or at least super close to it. And then I like the Cosmo. I think the Cosmo is what really elevates the second list over here. Being able to snipe against Destroy. You're not running Kyera in the second list, and you have a higher cube rate, which is kind of crazy.
I love that bit. I actually think because Cosmo gives you a lot more counter against stuff. Kyera is basically just protection for yourself, whereas Cosmo it doubles as protection as well as a very effective point of direct interaction with your opponent, and also it just does good. So I actually really like I will say, between the two lists, if we're going to talk about here, I really do love this second list. It feels really cool. And like you said, the affordability of a lot of these cards, right? So we have Gilgamesh, which was a season pass card, but then we have Marvel Boy, who was out in a season or in a cache last month. Mockingbird like last week, and then Silver Sable earlier this month as well. So it's just a bunch of those really good cheap cards. Kate Bishop too. It's actually, I know we just said more affordable. Is that like 5 Series 5 cards in this list still?
Yes, it is definitely 5 more Series 5 cards, which I think I'm thinking more affordable just thinking about the Zoo archetype overall. But if you look at the lists that are winning the most, they are expensive when it comes to cards needed for those lists.
Yeah, I think that you will still do well even without a lot of those. But at the same time, you're going to see more people playing the lists that have more cards because it's just a straight up thing. We just love new things. People love the new stuff, and being able to use these new cards, these new in some fun way, are really cool. And I think Marvel Boy does so much for that deck. Like I've been talking to you a little bit about it as we get to the next group, right? I've been loving Marvel Boy, and I think it's a really good card. And I think that he does so much for archetype in general. But this is going to the B tier, so I don't know exactly like the definition of exactly what's going to separate between tier A and C. But if we're going to talk about War Machine, War Machine's such a good card.
Yes. And it doesn't feel like an unfair card, though.
Yeah. And I say that as someone who I played so much War Machine earlier today, even. And doing the very specific Storm, War Machine, Legion combo, it's so not helpful in the long run. It's kind of like, at least for decks, I feel like the more I'm looking at it, it's just like, this is your get out of jail free card. You don't want to use it, but if you have to, you do. And I honestly, I think it's really cool, and I love that stuff. So I have been enjoying more. I've been enjoying more War Machine because of that as of late. And I feel like one of the things I'm at least noticing about the secondary list with War Machine is that it's using Crossbones. And I've seen a lot of lists. I think I've talked to you about this at least off Yap, but I've talked to you about this where like a lot of lists are trying to put in Cold Obsidian there, and then they only have like Ebony Maw and Nebula or something like that, or Ebony Maw and then maybe even like Ham. When they should just be using the Crossbones because it is the exact same stats, exact same difficulty, but it's easier actually to use Crossbones than Cold Obsidian because one of the 2/1 drops that you have in your list, you can't play cards to.
Yes. Yeah.
So
you've sold me on that. I remember when we talked about it, I was like, no, I mean, you could probably still do Cole, but like, if you look at it logistically from a deck building standpoint, it makes not a lot of sense or 0 sense to just do Cole Obsidian with just 2 1-drops in there. You're not playing Thanos. You know, you're not just going to be able to just draw 1-drops whenever. And like, you're more often than not going to have an opportunity to be winning a location to just get Crossbones value as well. I mean, White Widow with a Widow's Kiss, that almost guarantees you in a sense that you're gonna have
that's
like
that's a 2/5. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah, so like it just feels good. You have Storm. They don't play any card on the Storm lane. You just play Crossbones. Like,
yeah, you got a lot of good stuff in this list. I think this is a great list. I don't think that this Storm, War Machine, Legion combo is a problem. You're gonna get 2 cubes at max, most likely.
Yes.
In my opinion, again, I've played a lot of War Machine recently, and in the Legion combo, because you run those 3, it's good. The Storm's like your get out of jail free card with the Legion, but honestly, you get so much more value from just using Legion on a Death's Domain, on what is it, a location that stops all their cheap cards, like a Crimson Cosmos if you're playing against a bounce list.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Your Legion is insane, and you get so much value just from the other stuff. So Legion is one of those cards that's like, ooh, it feels good.
Yeah, no, Legion totally feels good, and I think like in this too, like, Legion's a card that we forgot about. Like, they had to nerf this from a 5/8 to a 5/7 because it was in everything. And, like, there's so much location tempo. You normally were thinking of this with Airshim. You were thinking of this with, you know, Storm stuff. But, like, at the end of the day, just being able to control locations is why Nocturne also was so good. I mean, Nocturne's gone and fallen off more recently, I think, because maybe it's War Machine being able to get into whatever lane possible. But no, this list doesn't feel like it's overbearing or it's like, yo, War Machine is absolutely busted. Like, it's just, you play around it and like, you can like, I feel more confident like retreating a game with a War Machine comes down than I do with a Hela comes down. Like, I think in that sort of situation with Hela gives you that kind of feeling like, oh, I can still beat Hela. The RNG is not going to beat me. Whereas, like, with War Machine, you're like, okay, they have the entire combo. I need to get out of here. There's no chance I'm not giving them more cubes.
I definitely think that's so fair, right? Because Hela kind of just feels like this RNG bit where you're like, okay, maybe it goes here, maybe it doesn't. And it's this whole like, and it just never feels satisfying. Whereas when you do with War Machine, it's just like, okay, they have the cards that would beat me here. They've set this up in a way that I cannot beat this. I will be retreating, and that's fine. It's a difference between like a setup and just, I don't know where the dice are going to roll, and I don't think I can win majority of the time. But.
And honestly, even with Airshim too, like, I think that's kind of a situation I'm still like,
they only have one popular deck. I just realized that's a different thing here. I want to point that out. When you talk about, like, we've seen multiple before, Airship's got one, and that's kind of it.
Yep. Only one right now, which is crazy with the meta, you know? Like, we were talking about earlier, too. Like, I still don't like playing Airship. It's one of my least favorite matchups, even more than Hela, because the RNG
I think it has the same problem with Hela. Yeah, the RNG. Because Hela, your RNG, like, okay, it's going here, it's going over there. You don't know. And then Airship is just like, they have this, or they have this, or they have this, and you don't know.
Yep.
Like, I lost to Airship, and I remember this clear as day because it was one of the situations where it's like, oh, I was outplayed by Airship, but honestly, it was just like they quaked me in order to win, and that was it. And I was like, huh. And I was like, I actually felt like I at least got outplayed for once against Airship. I don't feel like that normally. But I was like, oh, I just got outplayed here. That GG's. That was it. And it's so difficult to feel that against Airship.
Yeah, and I think
it's just like this.
I think so. Like, I don't like playing Airship, but it's so different. Playing Airship on ladder seems a little bit more reasonable than playing Airship in Conquest. I think it's worse playing Airship in Conquest because this deck just has so many different ins and outs, and you just don't know, which is what, like, the difference between Conquest and ladder. The unknown in Conquest enables you really to win your games. And there's so much unknown, so much RNG in this. Maybe they turn one Loki you, okay, but did they draw all my cards? Like, you still have that aspect of it. This is still the best list for Loki right now, and Loki's play rate has truly fallen, because I think what I have liked, this is another sidebar here, what I have liked with the most recent OTAs is people have been trying the OTA cards, and that they're not just playing Airship right now, because for the past couple months, it was like new OTA, new patch. I'm still playing Airship. I don't care whatever just came out. I'm playing Airship. I'm putting this card into Airship. So I do think that has been really healthy with the OTAs is like people are trying out new things. Maybe the changes in what they've tried out has really stuck, and like it may suck in some of those matchups, but they've done a decent job of just adding a little bit of life. Maybe it gets sucked away a couple days later, but it does feel like some of these balance and changes have actually affected Airshim, where it was like they didn't touch Airshim. They didn't touch Airshim. And we had a podcast a while ago where it was like, they made Loki better. They made Airshim better. They didn't touch it. But now you look at it now and it's like, okay, they were not touching it now because they were setting up stuff later down the line. But there's always room for improvement. But I would say they have done a fairly good job so far.
No, yeah. Like, as someone who was very upset with that OTA, I remember that. It was just like, yeah, that was they've actually did a good job, and we were just incorrect about that, and that's really cool to see. That's some sick stuff. But what is it? The next list is a list that I feel like I've always seen as one of the best lists. It's just Surfer. This has just been a consistent, like, good list.
Yes,
and that's been cool to see.
And this is the main one for Surfer, it looks like, too. And I think I talked about this with Prashan like every single week when it comes to Surfer. The reason why Surfer can be so consistently just like solid and good is because of two reasons, okay? So reason number one is the 3-drop has some of the most tech cards in the game. So you have a bunch of different ins and outs that you can flex for the meta. Reason number two, Leech died. Because Leech died, that really enabled pretty much every aspect of Surfer to just function, because none of the on-reveals get reverted or nuked or anything at all right now, because of the changes there. And then I guess we're going to actually, I have three things now. And because Sandman's dead, like that, like with this list too, like it just is, there's so many different things you can do.
And also, I just realized this isn't one that, like, I feel like when I think of Silver Surfer, it has Sarah in the list, and we don't see that in this one. That's cool to see. So, in general, I like that stuff. I think it just shows that Silver Surfer is just a good list in general. I think Sebastian Shaw is one of the cards that I really feel like is really, especially because we were talking about Scarlet Spider earlier. I've enjoyed that hand pump style of list, and I think that Sebastian Shaw is going to do some crazy good things there. It has in the past, and I think it will again when Scarlet Spider comes out. It's just such a good card because you can ramp. That is one of the best like ramping cards. That and Brood, I think, are some of the best cards in Surfer other than Surfer himself.
Yeah, just being able to have the power everywhere and everything just feels really good. And we're going to briefly go over the next 5 list before we move on to the next segment. So we have Darkhawk, which,
I feel like this is a good list against Hela, by the way.
Yes.
I wanted to point that out. Like, messing up Hela's draws are extremely essential. And I love the fact that Moon Knight is actually, like, the whole Moon Knight Black Bolt package is now a good part of Darkhawk. That's really cool to me as well. So, in general, I like the Darkhawk deck. I feel like I didn't at one point, but now it feels a lot more interesting.
Yes, I agree. And then, like, even we're looking at some of these other lists. So, like, the win rate's going to be lower on these next, not this list, but the next 2, because we're talking about min-maxing your cubes and everything too, when to snap and when to retreat. Like, if you don't have your stuff, you're retreating for 1, you're snapping to at least guarantee 2, which is why they have positive cube rates. But this is another cool thing, like with Wiccan. It feels like this archetype is very interesting. It kind of feels like, in a way, an old Loki. Like, it's the same kind of vibe. It's the same kind of, like, cards in it too. Just the sense where it's like, I'm drawing my combo to get this perfectly here, and then boom, I'm releasing hell on you. Like that's kind of what it feels like.
No, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I love Wiccan decks. I think Wiccan is one of my favorite like cards they've released as of late. Honestly, Kate Bishop might be second in there. Like, it's just so interesting. You can do so much cool building. And again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The fact that they made cards like Maria Hill, Quicksilver, Domino playable and legitimately good is great. I will say just to not take so long on Wiccan, if you're using Wiccan, you want a lot of 1-drops and a lot of 3-drops, a lot of 2-drops, and building up those 3-drops.
Yes.
If you're just putting 3 1-drops and 3 2 costs and 3 3-drops and you're just hoping for the best, your odds are very low. I said it before. If you use Quicksilver and 4 2-drops or Domino and 4 1-drops, you are 90% chance to have at least your turn 1 and turn 2. Legit, like that, those are statistically backed numbers. Building your 3 costs around that and then using Wiccan and your top end is really smart, and I love that stuff. So if you're doing this, be careful the way you're building your decks. Wiccan, just because you might get your curve, isn't a good idea.
Yeah, no,
that's my little soapbox.
I like it. That was a great little transition over there. And then of course these next two lists, I feel like we've seen. Like it's just negative. It's just tribunal.
And honestly, they really go together.
Yes.
Like negative is used in tribunal decks, and like I feel like the only difference there is really like tribunal is used in that list, the first, that one that we're currently on, and then it's not used here.
Yep.
And so it's this is a lot of stuff where you have to be acceptable with retreating, and that's just you have to live in that world where I'm gonna retreat. I'm gonna lose 1 or 2 cubes, so that in a bit I can get a bunch. Because also, there's too many people that don't respect the Mr. Negative into a chain monster.
Oh my gosh.
Too many people don't respect that. It's a lesson that it's the meme. How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Yes, literally
like,
the exact.
It's just that. So people don't know how to play against that oftentimes, and so use that to your advantage.
No, I agree. And then I think the last one is kind of similar to the first list we showed. It's kind of with Clog in a way, but like this, you have your Titania, you have your Goblins, and then you're freaking yeeting their big cards away with Cannonball.
Yeah, no, there's a really cool list currently going around that has like Beast, Cannonball, Shang-Chi, Doc Ock, and then these cards, and that's super interesting. And I love that. It's, again, just really cool, interesting stuff here in terms of list building, deck building. Yeah, I don't think it's quite that one. It has Beast in it. I don't know. But also using Dagger is a really cool thing too, and I think that's fun. I think it's that one right there. Yeah, I've seen this list going around. It's a really cool one. I love the fact that again, new Beast is more usable in a lot of archetypes. So it's got me excited. I'm holding off of talking about so many of the cards coming out next month for next week, but
but yeah, I think this is really cool. That's the general summary of the decks in the meta currently right now. We're now gonna move on to a new segment. Always finishing off with something cool, something a little artsy, you say. We're going to be doing our top 3 each, so top 6 variants for next season. We're using Snap.fan for this as well. Dance, do you want to lead us off with your first one?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of really fun. So we're talking about the variants that are coming out next season, next month in Marvel Snap, so October 2024. So many cool ones. And I don't know which one's first. I don't remember the order you're doing them in. So whatever you show it. And you have this is okay. Sneak peek for future.
Yep.
God, I love this one. So this is the Nightforged MODOK. Now this is going to be coming out next month in Marvel Snap. Let me get the exact details on this stuff. But this is going to be part of a bundle. It's going to be I think it's going to be a fairly expensive bundle.
It's a $50 bundle on Halloween.
Yeah. So this is going to be an expensive one. It may not be worth. We're not talking about the cube equity of all these bundles, or not cube equity, but the like the financial goodness or whatever behind any of the cards that might be in a bundle. I love the cursedness of this. It gives me like Quantum Mania vibes.
Yep.
Right. Like because we have audio listeners now, right? So this Nightforged MODOK. It's got this like toothy grin, like a demon, like with these pointed teeth, and the smile is too big for the face.
Yep.
He's got this little like lever with a skull on it. It's and his headband has a skull. His eyes are glowing green with the full moon behind him and bats and darkness behind as well. The animation looks sick here too, and I think one of the things that gets me about this is that it shows too much of the gums. Honestly,
you don't like the gummy?
No, I love it. I think it looks so cursed. Like I'm someone who loves like that the Pixel Taco Bell MODOK, as it might be known. And this one takes the cake for me because it just looks so cursed, and I love that.
It's one of the better MODOKs animation wise too. I think I like the background. It's definitely a lot of Halloween stuff. It's got fire on it too. Maybe no, it's not fire. It's like I guess fire.
It's like
below.
A greenish fire. It's like a cursed fire. I don't know.
It's like cursed
Skreek fire
or mystic fire or whatever. And I think it's cool. I think for $50 it's honestly not bad bundle value, but that's a different topic. But no, this one's a banger. I have an ultimate variant as my first one, and it is going to be Ultimate Bucky Barnes, which what's really cool about this one specifically, it is Venomized Bucky Barnes. It's the symbiote season, but Bucky's
Yo, what you talking about Buckins?
Bucky's token variant is also Venomized. The Winter Soldier looks absolutely amazing, just like Bucky. Bucky's a card that really doesn't get a lot of love right now. I feel like definitely later on in the pools, but this might bring back maybe some Token Destroy, which, like, if there is still a lot of claw going on right now, Token Destroy could be in a good spot. You know, you have your Mockingbird, you got your Squirrel Girls, you're getting a free death, you're getting a null, you're getting all this other stuff on the board. Like, the value's there. It gives me a reason to play freaking Bucky again because it's so
Imagine
fun.
a variant brings back Bucky and Destroy. Also, I want to point out that scene, it looks like it's trying to mimic the scene from Winter Soldier.
Yep.
The actual Captain America Winter Soldier, where he's literally holding on, turns around, just grabs the what is it, the shield, and because it's venomized, the vibranium shield is shattering here.
Gosh.
Like, again, I love, for what it's worth, like Squirrel Girl, right? Because the zombified Squirrel Girl, because it has the zombie squirrels and it has the token variants, and those token variants are so dang cool.
Yeah.
And Winter Soldier being this as well. Like, I know it's Bucky Barnes, but at the same time, it is Winter Soldier as well, and that's really some great stuff here.
You know, this is freaking incredible. And then Dance,
Yeah.
who is gonna be your next one over here?
What is it? I will say, by the way, when yours comes out, what is it? Just on the 1st of October, right?
Yes.
That's when yours is currently data mined to come out.
The day of the new season.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. So if I'm not mistaken, the next one over here, you're going to see a variant we've already seen. It's another ultimate. We've got Nullified Thor, and it's nothing, right? I'm sorry. Wait, you're right. This card's already come out. But again, we're talking about them token variants. We got Token Mjolnir.
Finally.
And this, it looks so good. I don't even care if it's like, you're getting me with the custom token variants. I love that stuff. I already have this Thor. I'm stoked to play with this just because it looks cool. I don't care.
Red Lightning better come out when it comes onto the board, though, because they did say when Thor gets his hammer, we're going to try and give him Red Lightning whenever you play the Mjolnir. I remember like months and months and months ago they said that. So we'll see if they can do that. Hopefully they can.
They're showing Blue Lightning here, though. I'm a little scared.
I know. And this also comes out in the 1st, so
yeah,
we'll see. But
yeah, Ultimate Thor is getting Nullified Mjolnir, and I'm so down.
Yeah, it makes it worth 5,000 tokens, right?
Yeah, it's just not. I'd say it's worth about 5 of the Rainbow Cosmic Borders, though.
Gosh, those are so bad. But yo, no, that Thor, the Mjolnir looks great. I love this Thor. It's the Thor I rock too. So I definitely will be continuing to rock this, especially since it gets a token, like you're saying. It gets the value even better, 3 times. So we love that. And then my next card is actually going to be a new Morbius that is coming out that looks absolutely insane. It's like he's reaching out of the variant himself. He is definitely bloodthirsty. He's got the blood red moon behind him, and he looks freaking crazy. It is the Pandart Morbius, and yeah, this is wow.
Yeah, this one looks really cool. I love the way this is, because there's a Night Forge one actually coming out at the beginning of the month. But this one is particularly the Panda Art Studio Morbius. And again, it's the differences I've talked before about like Panda Art. I don't know if I've talked about it on the Yap before, but I've talked about how I don't enjoy Panda Art itself, whereas the Panda Art Studio variants, I think, really hit. And this one coming out on the 17th next month, really hits. And this is a rare one, right? So all the other ones we've talked about are like super rare. So all the ones we talked about are like these really, they're typically going to be more expensive, right? Because it's either a bundle or it's an ultimate variant, and that's a lot. So this one going just to be a super rare is going to be so sick, and I love that.
Yeah, I am so here for it. Now, Dance, for your last one over here.
Listen, I know I said that some of these have been a little bit, difficult to maybe receive, maybe difficult to buy because of maybe how much they cost.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, dude, this one, it's one of the few. This is coming in $100 bundle. Why are 2 of my favorites this month coming out in such expensive bundles? I'm sorry. Listen, I get it. Not everyone's gonna buy these. Okay, we understand that. You don't need to. They just look dang cool, and if you are able to spend the money on these, enjoy it, because Nullified Galactus looks better than it has any right to be.
Yes, I agree. Oh my gosh, the coloring on it, the animation, like this ink's gonna be great. I really wonder how the gold is gonna look on this.
I'm hoping good. I don't know.
But the animation itself is just absolutely incredible. So like,
yeah, this one looks absolutely insane. The animation doesn't need to show this much, as I've been rocking the Bronze Age, the comic book variant of Galactus, and this might just take that cake because it looks so good.
Yeah, there's so much going on that it's actually like makes sense.
Yeah, and this comes out in case you're wondering and you want to get this one. Gonna be 99 USD, and it's coming out in a bundle on the 22nd next month, along with, and I don't like it when they put Spotlight Cash Keys in bundles, but it's gonna have 2 of those as well as 5,000 gold. Maybe there's a future app where we talk about like the economy and like how much stuff's worth, but I disagree with
That'll be a long segment, but I'm here for it.
Let us know if you want that.
Let us know down below. Yeah, actually, if you guys do want to see some Yap content going over the game economy and everything too in a Yap or another video, just let us know, and it's definitely something we would be up for.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff to talk about inside of there, but yeah. But you want to talk about the last one, who I feel like I even saw like posted in general in a lot of other places here, and this is gonna be a really fun one. And again, Tucker's being a little bit kinder than I am and maybe showing the easier ones to get for everyone.
This Venom is animation. Perfect. It is the album reward for Venom. You have to have 6 out of 9 of the variants, and he is demanding brains right now. Literally, the animation is him slamming his arms on the table, wanting Spider-Man to bring him his entree.
I will say 7 out of 8, by the way. My apologies.
7 out of 8? Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, this is for the Venom character album, which is...
And Venom on the thing, too.
It's so good. And it does the little... Again, it's the whole thing where it's like, boom, 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 boom. It just does that. I don't know. All of these are like, they're subject to change because this is data mine content. None of this is for certain going to exist in this way that we are currently talking about them. But as of the information we have right now, this is coming out on the 21st next month. But
so good.
I feel like there's some months where I wouldn't want to talk about variants, but I do think this upcoming month, the fact they're going with spooky, venomized, all this stuff, it looks so cool. And just in general, there's so much fun stuff happening next month in Marvel Snap. We're really going to be able to break down, but I'm excited and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, we're going to have a great month. Good luck with you guys for Scarlet Spider tomorrow, or today. Sorry, today. Good luck with Scarlet Spider. Hope you guys either one-tap him or you get all of the cards you need and the most minimal amount of keys it takes. So we wish you the best of luck there. Dance, anything else you would like to add to the end of the pod here?
What is it? If y'all aren't, you should be subscribed here. It's Twitch. It's youtube.com/@Tucker. If you're listening just on an audio platform, or you would like to listen to an audio platform, we do put this as well on Apple Podcasts and Spotify day of. And so if you want to, you should be jump to all these places. We got a Twitter, or if you're weird, you can call it X. Sorry, but we're also there as well with at Marvel Yap Cast.
Yes.
I want to say no underscores or anything like that, just that. Yep. So if y'all are interested, listen, we love it, and we would love to hear, like he said, let us know if you want to do the economy stuff, or just in general, let us know what you like and don't like. I personally enjoy that. Even if you just say, hey, I don't enjoy this. Honestly, I like hearing that. I'd like to know what is good and not good. So feedback is cool.
Yeah, and where can we find you, Dance, as well?
Have a YouTube that I never upload to, but otherwise I'm on twitch.tv/notmydance, as well as on Twitter. Just no caps, no spaces. That's it. Tuck, I'm excited. There's a lot of really fun stuff coming up this week, and maybe even some fun stuff coming up later today. I don't know. Scarlet Spider is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see what you can do with it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what we can do with it. Dance is going to have some crazy cooks. Talking about hand pump sounds interesting. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next Yap, where we're going to be going over the new season, and we're going to be breaking down 2 cards on the next Yap, as well as talking about our honest review of Activate. Be on the lookout for that. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications on, and we will see you guys. And we will see you guys in the next Yap.